month's panel discussion will be moderated by Janique Bird, practicing professionals Dr. David Acey, T.M. Garrett, LaTanya Blankenship, and pre-professionals Lydia Warren, Abraham Williamson, and Montez Reed.
My name is Vernon Stafford, and my daytime job, I'm an executive vice president at First Tennessee Bank, but my aside job, if you will, is I'm a member of the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. And Mr. Reed, as I listen to you, you're spot on. So the Tennessee Higher Education Commission has responsibility for not only the four-year colleges and universities, community colleges, as well as the TCATs, the technical colleges. And not everybody is ready or prepared or really meant for four-year colleges. And the TCATs can be very useful place for a lot of high school graduates as well. So I think that's an excellent observation. My question to you is, if you were standing before the commission, and I'm the representative for the commission, let me back up. About 2 weeks ago in our last commission meeting, we heard statistics that said that more than 50% of the Tennessee public education or higher education population of white students are successful. About 40% of Hispanic students are successful, and about 25% of African American students are successful. What suggestions would you give to the commission? We do have, obviously, Tennessee Promise, which you spoke about. We do have now Tennessee Reconnect for those who have started college but didn't finish and they can get back into it. But there's more than just the financial piece. Mm-hmm. What suggestions would you provide to the commission that would help students be more successful in their college careers?
Well, one thing you could do is come up with some kind of plan to finance, from your perspective, community groups from the state legislators and some core group, just say in Memphis somewhere, working with Ms. Blankenship at Melrose like we do. We need money at the Melrose to do the things we're doing. Get somebody that you all can tap, like FedEx or somebody, to give all this money to somebody, and the mentors of these schools to put money not in buying basketballs and tennis shoes, to mentor to these parents because they need to be educated, because they dropped out of school, had babies at 15. They can't mentor to the 18-year-old, 16-year-old students, some of them on drugs, et cetera, but thank God for the grandmothers. So they don't know what's going on in the school system. And here's what I tell you. We go in, me and my wife and I and others go try to get into the schools. You got to have a drug test, you got to have a criminal background record to go in to help. We don't mind it, because we all right. But we have to contact Ms. Blankenship and invite us into Melrose or wherever, or Dunbar, and Mount Vernon Church. Get to the churches. Mount Vernon Church, we mentor at Westwood, Chickasaw, and do it all. My point is, you got to be academically excellent and socially responsible. You all got all kind of degrees, but you're socially irresponsible if you see something going on in your community like this gentleman just said, won't answer for it, and you don't step up to even help your next door neighbor. Well, we got to all do this together. But I would suggest, we can get with you a little later, some kind of program. You got to educate the kid, the parent, and these guidance counselors. Hello. There's some horrible stories. Come on with it. Horrible stories. They give scholarships to who they want to give them to. And they don't do a good job now. I'm just, I'm going to school and I'm saying. But anyway, that kind of answers, give you some kind of question.
I have a suggestion. A lot of this testing that our students are taking, unnecessary. They don't even know how to function without it being a test. If you ask them like a common thing to do, how you do it? They don't even know how to be creative. Go do the board outside, fix up my bulletin board. You got to tell them piece by piece by piece, because they're so used to something testing them. And in Memphis is the largest city, the city that have more testing than Nashville, Knoxville, and Chat. So why is that? Is it because we got more urban kids here? And a lot of our kids are really fed up with all this testing. I can tell you, because we had three weeks of TCAP with 10 ready, and the test wasn't even ready. So I'm just saying, a lot of the kids, they really get fed up because I have one young man, Javante Porter, he just graduated from UT Knox. But due to us pouring so much into him, he graduated in 4 years. But he said when he got there, he truly wasn't ready. But we kept on, and he ended up graduating in 4 years. And he coming back, he's a Memphis fellow, and he about to work with Paul Young in the Housing and Development. But it gotta be, you gotta have some mentorship for the kids.
And the testing, look at the standards that you all set up. I look at the education standards. The test is not measuring anything. They're not even measuring up to the standards. They're just testing people, thinking that must mean something. They don't even teach cursive writing anymore. How did that shock me?
They started it back last year.
Last year, no civic classes. They don't know anything about city government, county government, state government. They don't know the function. They're just testing people. Here's what I suggest you do. Look at the standards and look at the test. They're not measuring up to the Tennessee education standards. They're just testing. Check it out.
Thank you.
And get with Mr. The Teachers Association, Mr. Williams. Yeah.
I think even at the university level, maybe having the universities be a little more inclusive, or I don't know, invest a little more in remediation once the students get there, because it seems like even when we were coming through, it's a lot on lecture, but maybe not as much on teaching. And I know it's more expensive to kind of invest more on an individual basis, but in my experience, that's what kind of drew me to Howard. There were specific professors, this was true for most of my friends, who kind of pulled them to the side if they wanted it. And I haven't found that to be the case since I've left, so I don't know how you could operationalize that and if the scope of your jurisdiction allows that. But I think that the universities could step up a little bit more if they're really serious, other than, and I don't mean to shade them, but they do a really good job of putting our faces on the materials. But once we get there, I don't know if, you know, we're actually being integrated into the system. Good point.
My name is Micah Smith. I work here at the Women's Museum and Gallery, and I work closely with Ms. Williamson. My question, well, let me give some background context. I grew up in like a southern rural Maryland, and so I went to school, elementary, middle, and high school. I went to schools that were predominantly white. And so when senior year came around last year, I was trying to look at schools and things, and I really wanted to go to HBCU, and I would have some of my black friends tell me that I wasn't black enough to go to an HBCU because I either sound like this or I act a certain way. I don't act black, quote unquote. And then when I would tour these PWIs, like I wouldn't feel comfortable because I can't really identify with the students, because it's just like I can't see myself sometimes living like close to people who don't have the same cultural experiences as me. So that's why I really wanted to go to HBCU. But then, you know, like I said, I had those friends who said I'm not black enough. So I was wondering now I'm in a position where I feel like I won't be comfortable in either HBCU or PWI. So it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around it.
Okay. You back up. Mr. AC and I was talking about this. We have a lot of teachers who are not of my hue, who are now in Memphis City schools, right? And they are actually telling our black students that the HBCU is not useful any longer. Like they need to go to a PWI. So that's, y'all really haven't seen the real me, so I'm just trying to keep calm. So I really, you know, it's nothing like the HBCU experience. Am I right?
You're right.
Go to homecoming, it's just like a family reunion. Go to a PWI homecoming, it's just a far few of y'all together hanging out. But when I went to TSU, I felt like I was in a family. And if you didn't have nothing to eat, guess what? You had something to eat because your roommates were gonna share. I was on the 6th floor, and we had the 5th floor cooked breakfast on Saturday. We cooked dinner on Saturday night. We didn't supposed to have hot plates because at the time TSU wasn't wired for all that. So, but long as we gave our resident director a fish plate and some spaghetti. We was good, okay? So my thing is, you are, and I minor in Africana studies as well. So when Mr. AC was talking about, you have to get to know yourself. Because my uncle, I'm originally from California, you can't tell. My uncle asked me, well, you went to Melrose High School, that's a black school, and now you're going to TSU, that's a black school. Why you want to come to UCLA? I said, first I got to get to know myself. And when I went to TSU, I got to know myself and learned how to love myself. So you are good enough for HBCU, my sister.
Dr. John Henry Clark from Howard University. See, we got to get into our history, and we got to read more about our great people. First, you know, we went through this stuff they call us niggers, coon, boots, shoe. Somebody else defining our reality for us. Then they call us slaves, then they call us ex-slaves and freedmen. Then when are we going to name ourselves? You understand? When are we going to take control of our own destiny? So what we did when I was coming up, we changed the Negro color to black. That was one step. John Henry Clark told me that black is what you look like, not who you are. Let me run that back by you. Tell us what you look like, not who you are. You asked us, who are you? We give 6 different answers. I'm Hispanic, I'm mixed with this, come on, who are you? You're African. You're just living in America. I'm sorry. But I've been here all my life. I'm an American, that's your nationality. You don't hear no Jew saying I'm just an American. I'm a Jewish American. I'm an Italian American. We run and tell me we black. That somebody they couldn't qualify. You're too light. Black is what you look like, not who you are. So once you get into your African self, you will realize that you're just an African living in America. So they brought us from Africa, put us on a boat, right? Stole us with it. Brought us over here. You put an apple tree on a boat in Africa, bring it over here, it didn't change to no peach tree, did it? So what's your problem? You're an African, you're just living in America, but you don't know it. We alienate our own self for the lack of knowledge, right? And we following somebody else's concept of us. Let's define ourselves for ourselves so we can make our community better. If we follow blindly white scholarship, we messed up. Because what a slave master gonna give you the plan to get out of slavery? I don't think so. I'm not telling you don't learn English because we live in an English-speaking country, but that's the language of commerce. But how many of you ever went to Africa or want to go to Africa or even had the idea? You want to go to Gay Paris, I'm sorry, Gay Paris. Anyway, Paris. Maybe not. But my point is, you got to know yourself. Everybody else knows themselves. The Jewish people, a culture carries with it a moral demand system as well as a symbolic system that compels behavior. You don't have to ask the Jewish kids to put that little hat on. They know about the Tower. It compels behavior. So the culture can recreate themselves. We don't even talk about Africa unless it's somebody starving or something. But why do you think all the other folks in Africa, with all the natural resources in the world, is in Africa? Y'all know that, right? Oil, diamonds, uranium, you name it, gold, you name it. But we can't even get folks to go over there. Africans want us to come and get some of it. Anyway, that's another lecture. But you're dark enough. You qualify. Trust me.
But I believe you said it right, defining yourself. Absolutely. And that's very important. And as a gentleman said here, the school problem too, it's a lot about, you need actually to mentor kids that they can be able to define themselves, because they're labeled from the point they were born. They're labeled by their parents. That's what you are, that's who you are. They have no chance to define themselves. They're labeled by society. You're black, you're that, or you're too stupid, you're not good enough. You were even labeled by other African Americans, you're not good enough to go. Yeah. Others are damned to fail from the beginning because they're told you're not good enough. You can't do that. And there's a lot of testing. There's no mentoring. You're damned to fail, and that needs to change in my opinion.
I was just going to say, as Latanya mentioned, it's not how you come in, it's how you come out. I mean, that's the point, right? You come in, you're not just coming to hang out, you're coming for an experience and to be transformed. And you'll find that your experience is probably like most of the people who attend college. There are a lot of black folks around the country who were the only one in their class. I know that was true for me, and a lot of my friends at Howard. And I would say if you go in with the mentality that you're looking to kind of embrace it, then who you were when you came in, I mean, you'd be surprised the transformation people can make in 2 to 4 years. So I would just say if that's what you want to do, or if you're talking to other folks, encourage them to explore. That's the point of college.
I would say, unfortunately, you will face, you will hear those things throughout your entire life, whether you go to an HBCU or BWIs. From at least my experience, from what I've heard from people who transferred from HBCU and came to Rhodes. From my experience at Rhodes, my friends from Soulsville have said to me that I sound white or that I dress white now and things of that such. And it is what people are going to be ignorant and have those ignorant comments about you sound white or you look white or you dress white. Those ignorant comments that we are already labeling ourselves because we try to meet this expectation that we actually do not need to meet, that does not need to exist in the first place. So unfortunately, like I just said, people, specifically black people, because we term like colorism, because those comments will follow you, unfortunately, because people are ignorant and people do not want to learn from it, and people do not want to learn about the ignorance. Unfortunately, even if you go to a HBCU, black people at that school will say you're not black enough, whatever that means, and how you're supposed to measure that, measure your blackness. Doesn't make sense. Even also at a PWI, just because you find friends who identify as black does not mean they will see you as black as well. Right. Because there are many people at Rhodes who identify as mixed race or multiracial, and they often find themselves not being invited to BSA, which is Black Student Association, because people in the association have told them you are not actually black, which does not make sense because you are black. Just because you identify as another race or another ethnic group does not mean your blackness decreases. You're still the same. So unfortunately, like I just said, people will say those things whether you go to a HBCU or a PWI, and it's up to you. As Aaron said, you have to find yourself. And what I've seen as coming when I went to Rhodes is I've learned to love my blackness on another level that I did not cherish when I was at high school, when I was at Soulsville, because I was surrounded by so many black people. And I was comparing my blackness to them. Where now at, I don't compare my blackness to anyone. I'm black, this is my Ted, and Rhodes has helped shape that. Even though Rhodes is not an HBCU, I've learned to love and cherish my blackness in different ways that I did not think about and that other people do not think about because of the surrounding that they're in.
All right, thank you. Another question?
Well, it's more of a statement to the gentleman's question earlier about what could be done. Once again, I work with high school students, which is why my work phone is in my back pocket. But I tell my students pretty much every day, y'all don't go to real high school. I went to real high school. I don't know what this is, but this isn't real high school. When I was in high school, 99 to 2003, at Hamilton, in 9th grade, you sat down with your counselor. Do you want to go to college or do you want to get a job? And depending on what your answer was, that's how your high school career was shaped. So for individuals at Hamilton that wanted to go right into a trade after high school, we had a full service auto mechanic, full service dry cleaners, hair salon, barbershop, as well as daycare. Fully functional JROTC program for those, wanting to go military, and for us that wanted to go to college, that's what our focus was on, college prep, ACT, SAT, honors AP courses. So when I left high school, I didn't really realize I was prepared for college until I got to college in freshman English and could actually write a paper without struggling. And so it was one of those situations where not only when I left high school I could write, but I could also read, but also read for comprehension and understanding. Now in 2018, one of the biggest issues with the work that I do is because forcing a kid that does not want to go to college to sit down and do a FAFSA, like it's just one of the hardest things ever, not only for myself, but for that student, because he's like, but I don't want to go to college, I want to work. I understand it. But if you don't fill out the FAFSA, your counselor don't get in trouble, as well as your principal. And luckily I built relationships with my schools to, kind of get that information.
But that's one of the hardest things, and I have an issue with Shelby County Schools when they say every college down. No, every child is not college down. They don't want to go to college. And that's okay. College is not for everyone. A 4-year is not for everyone. Some kids don't want to go to a 2-year. I've been in school 12 years of my life. I'm done. I don't want to go. But here I come. You have to do the FAFSA. You have to fill out the application for Tennessee Promise. You have to do this. You have to take an ACT. You have to do this. But they don't want to go to college. So it makes my job a little bit hard. And it kind of takes away some of the attention that I could give to students who really, really want to go. And also another thing is the amount of testing. Like Ms. Blankenship said, it was 3 weeks in April that they spent testing. So that's 3 weeks of face-to-face interaction that I didn't have with my students. And I'm trying to complete scholarship applications and make decisions because May 1st is coming and we're analyzing financial aid packages and things like that. And now it's at a point where the test doesn't even matter or count towards anything. With at first it was 15% of their grade. So a lot of time is being wasted. And I tell my students all the time, I didn't have all this testing when I was in high school. In 9th grade, I took Gateway, I passed it. I didn't have to think about it anymore, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, period. I was done with testing outside of the writing exam junior year and taking the ACT because I wanted to go to college. Not because my teacher wanted me to go to college, not because my counselor wanted me to go to college, but because I wanted to go to college. And so now you have this environment where they're pushing all these kids and they don't want to do it. Okay, so, you know, it's just something to think about. Yes,
can I piggyback on what she just said? I don't know if y'all been watching the news. They are taking a lot of the vocational classes out of the schools. So therefore, like you said, I had a plan B. I knew I wanted to go to college, but I took all the TC. I would have went in as an E3. But now at Melrose, I'm just talking about Melrose, we don't have all TC. We had 13 different vocational classes in Melrose. Now we only have 5. Auto mechanic, auto body, they're about to take out cosmetology, horticulture, photography, screen printing, t-shirts, wood shop, all of that is gone. Now they want us to start, and that's why I have a problem with, I think this is a warehouse city. Now they want our children to start learning about logistics. We know what logistics mean. Throwing a box, looking at a label. But we got to do something because like you said, we had a choice. Either you're gonna go technical or you're gonna go to college. These kids now, they really forcing the college on them, but they're not ready. And by them taking out the vocational classes, they don't even have a skill to work with when they get out of school. So we really messing up.